in today's day and age, there are few franchises that are as queer-friendly as X-Men. X-Men have been around for decades, and they've frequently been criticized for being, not even criticized, like it's heralded as being one of those shows that actually actively took an interest in minorities and people outside the norm and were proclaiming them as something unique and interesting and different and worthy of respect. So it's only fair that many queer people today have a strong affinity and fondness for this series. So it's only fair then that I take these people and rank them according to their queer iconicness tier list maker. So, moving into right out the gate, let's start with Colossus. Now, Colossus is an interesting character, certainly has a, strong appeal to many people in the community. He's not someone who I think is looked at regularly as someone who would be in the queer circles, but for what he is, he's very supportive of his teammates. He's an interesting character, has a great backstory, and very, very loyal to the cause. So I think he's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting place to start off with. Jubilee. Jubilee is a really cool character, obviously sparking a lot of people's love and affection for X-Men in the first place as the stand-in character in the X-Men series, which is probably what I'm most familiar with other than the movies. Jubilee is someone who is frequently done as a peppy, interesting, very extroverted, fun-loving human, and I feel like that plays really well into the series as a whole. So, definitely someone who I think would be, embraced by the community. Now, Juggernaut, I don't think qualifies. He's more of like the southern temperament. He is more of the antithesis to this, really. He's not even a part of the well, maybe he's a part of the X-Men sometimes. Yeah, tumultuous history there. I don't know as much about it as I should. I probably shouldn't do this list. I should wait for Jeremy. But anyways, we will move along because I do know Mystique. Mystique is probably one of the most iconic, from being played by extremely interesting queer icons, being played many times, being portrayed in a lot of different ways. There are a few people who speak to gender fluidity as well or as easily as Mystique does. So, yeah, I definitely think that she is a safe and interesting person to have on the list. Nightcrawler, I would argue, is also really high affinity for the queer community, mainly because a lot of people in the queer community struggle with religion, and that's something that Nightcrawler represents really well. He represents that balance between, demon/angel. Definitely has a strong presence and a strong forte inside of him. Yeah, I think that his struggle speaks to a lot of our struggle. And so a lot of us really enjoy that idea of having someone who represents us in that way. Especially as someone who's been rejected by the church. I think that's another important point as well. So, high factor, very good option. Kudos to you, Nightcrawler. Professor X. I would say Professor X is in the middle. He's definitely that authoritative figure. He's definitely that elder figure who, is protective, but who also is wise and knows well. I can't imagine Patrick Stewart playing anything that isn't just that loving and accepting and open and honest. And, I'd love to see him do it because I feel like he'd do it really well. But there's just something lovable about Patrick Stewart himself. He has that kind of gravitas. He has that kind of emotion. He's a great choice. And I feel like in terms of Charles Xavier, he is a interesting individual who does that as well. Sabretooth, I mean, there's jokes to be made about like the bear scene, but I would say he's not really high on the list in terms of, appreciation within the community. He does represent a lot of things that are like antithesis of stereotypical queerness. So like he's very big, burly, brawny, hirsute gentleman, very, very rageful, there's a lot there that isn't traditionally queer or that queer would gravitate towards. He kind of represents a lot of like the unsafe in many ways. So I don't think that he would, have a lot of people really stand up for him in that way. Psylocke, however, Psylocke is an interesting character. Obviously, based purely off design aesthetic, I would say she's one of the more interesting characters. Any female with power, like, gay men will gravitate towards that. Like, that's why they like Phoenix. That's what, you know what, I'm just going to take it now. Phoenix up here as well. Rogue up here as well. Storm up here as well. Why is there Storm twice? There's something here I don't know about. But, like, these characters are characters who are strongly going to influence the queer idea of power, and, you know, that's very... There's a reason these characters are icons. You know what? I'm not even going to pretend. Like, Rogue, Storm, and Phoenix, obviously on top. It is what it is. That's just how it goes. That's just how it is. Gay men love these characters. They are strong, badass women who do amazing things, who take nothing for granted, and who aren't afraid to, you know, curb stomp a man when they need to. So, you know, it's good. It's very good. We like them, as we should. Wolverine. I mean, it's Hugh Jackman, so obviously he has potential. Hugh Jackman is well loved. Wolverine as a character and Logan as a character is well loved. It's really hard these days to separate the two. And then just like Wolverine himself is a 5'5" Canadian with a bloodlust and just wild and crazy healing abilities. Is he a queer icon? Well, yeah, he is. I mean, you can't really deny he is. It's just Wolverine. That's just the way it goes. So I would keep him definitely in the Yas Queen category. And I feel like that's a fairly safe space for him to live. We have the Blob. The Blob, I would, you know... I get that he would be there for, like, body positivity. But... him as a character isn't overly interesting. Him as a character isn't someone who I would be like, yes, represent something positive for the queer community. I feel like I'm being generous putting him where he is. But, you know, body positive, different style of mutant. I think that's important as well. So let's keep that just in the loosey-goosey stages. Angel. Angel's kind of in the middle. Angel is very plain. There's not a lot to say about Angel, to be honest. In terms of, like... He's a character they really screwed up in the comics, though. Or, sorry, in the movies. Because, like, there's two different Angels, and they're both terrible. And they can't get this character right at all. It's very frustrating. But, moving on. Beast. If we're talking Kelsey Grammer version, instant icon. If we're talking Nicholas Hoult version, slightly less so. I would consider Beast to be right behind Professor X. I feel like he also has that scholarly feel, that scholarly ideal. Definitely representing, like, the old school educated gay. I feel like that's an archetype that he would fit into nicely. So I don't have an issue with him going there. Domino is interesting as well because her whole power is luck. But she's not super well known. She's not super embraced. But I would keep her just above Angel in that regard. Definitely a lot to the character. Definitely a lot of interest. Definitely a lot of fun. But is it, like, the best character? I don't know. It's got a lot to say. Got a lot to do. Gambit is, you know... I would put Gambit right at the top of Yas Queen. Again, I feel like the issue with him is kind of the issue with Wolverine. A little bit co-opted by straight men, but very interesting character, a lot of fun. Actually, you know what? The whole story between him and Rogue in the animated series, I think, is enough to give him the edge. So I'm going to give him the edge. He's an icon. More so than Wolverine. But Wolverine should probably be above these two. I'm not going to lie. Magneto. Again, father-daddy figure. Like, him and Charles Xavier together are the ultimate couple. So that's good. Pyro, apart from being played by someone in the movie who was probably sleeping with Bryan Singer, which just feels gross now to think about. Pyro doesn't really have an impact, I would say, apart from that. I've never really figured they knew exactly what to do with him, so from there I'm going to just keep him low. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, I would say, Representing sibling rivalry, which is a very common theme, I would put him above Domino, and I would put her, especially with the boost that Scarlet has been receiving recently, I'm going to put her right behind Wolverine. I feel like that's the rightest places for them. So, we have Iceman. Iceman is fine enough. I would put him right behind the daddies. And I feel like that's... And finally, Toad. Toad is kind of lucky to be here, I guess. I can't imagine... Although that tongue would make him very popular. Yeah, I would kind of put him there. These ones at the bottom, I don't know who they are based off of their patterns. I think that's another Storm. I think that's Aurora. I think that's North Star, but I can't be sure. I don't feel like these were the best pictures. But this is my ranking. What do you think? What am I wrong about? Tell me. Let me know. And until next time, I will see you soon.